Thank you, Qamar. Sheikhul Islam, I've had the privilege of listening to you for the third time this time, so I'm going to, I have two questions which are interlinked. But before I mention the questions, let me compliment you on this a combination of this articulation which is very spirited, combined with the logic which is irrefutable. I think that combination is rare, and please accept my heartfelt compliments for that.
Thank you very much.
My question is, when you lay down the principles, the conditions under which defensive warfare can be conducted, there are very high principles involved. Apart from the very obvious of not killing women, children, old men, and so forth, and priests and protecting churches and so forth. They're also protecting the environment, as I hear you, trees, animals, and so forth. One, as a matter of curiosity, to what extent did the Geneva Convention and the new charters actually derive from some of the Islamic principles as laid out in the Quran 1400 years ago? Number one. My second question, which is linked to this, is about the Kharijites. It's extremely intriguing because the projection, or the proclamation that this will occur again and again until the Antichrist comes along, and the definitions given and the kind of people they're going to be seems to be pretty much identical to what's going on today. Now, I am a retired director of operations of the World Bank, so my own bent is towards the development side rather than the destructive side of reconciliation, if you like. Something which all parties talk about, but I think very insufficient action is taken in that regard. Is there any injunction, given the fact that a lot of the recruitment, the Taliban and the other people, is on the basis of people coming from marginal areas, poverty, lack of voice and so forth, deprived of something or the other, under which they turn towards these extreme practices of the Kharijites. Is there something in the Quran which says how we can change the hearts and minds before these people actually make the change to these directions? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Again, answering your second question first. So there is definitely a positive injunction in Holy Quran and in Prophet's Sunnah to change their hearts and minds so that they may get rid of these criminalistic or terroristic activities, and they may think toward the developmental aspects to win their hearts. The Quranic verse which refers to mu'allafatul qulub, the verse of sadaqat, the verse of charity, a specific portion was fixed for winning the hearts of the people so that their mindset is changed. Mu'allafatul qulub, it continued. So the money was spent on them to take them away from poverty, and the Baitul Mal, it was ordained by the Holy Prophet and the Caliphate that Baitul Mal was open for Jews and non-Muslim and Christians so that they also get the economic support. Not only the Muslims. Muslims, of course, definitely, but even non-Muslim, so that they are supported socially and economically. They are upgraded. Their economic deadlock is resolved. They feel happy in a society, respectable place. They can gain respectable place. And that's why how through the social reforms, educating them, providing them economic necessities, upgrading them their status, this is how you change their mindset and win their hearts. This is the Quran. And same was the practice of Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. Even in those days when Makkah was at war, but Makkah was not in the state of treaty, it was in state of war, and always planning fights and wars against Medina. Even in those days, once there was a big qahat, a famine, very big, and it was reported to Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. Holy Prophet, two events. He sent a lot of gold and coins and gold to Mecca and ordered Abu Sufyan to distribute this among the poor. And he is distributing this among the poor of a state at war. And second time, he sent the money and to ask Abu Sufyan and one another leader of Mecca, and he refused to receive, and Abu Sufyan received it. And they distributed it among the poor of Meccans, non-believers and mushrikeen Meccans. They were distributed. Third time again the same thing happened, and Abu Sufyan came to Holy Prophet ﷺ, and he raised his hands and made supplication to Almighty Allah, so that Almighty Allah brings rains, gives rains to them and provide them economic prosperity. So the best way is to provide economic prosperity, to provide them education, to take them out of the poverty, to remove poverty alleviation. Act of charity was done for them. So these things are necessarily required, and these are the answers for today too. One is the military way of terminating them, but the other way is this through social reform, providing them facilities. This was what happened in war of Afghanistan initially, when it was known as jihad, when the Afghans were fighting against the Russian occupation. After 10, 11 years war, when everything was finished and Russia was defeated, everybody who put all these people in Afghan war, they came back. And these people who are trained for 14 years to fight Russia, they were left on their own. So there were no infrastructure, no education, no economic support, no social support. US came back, and Saudi Arabia came back, and Pakistan came back. And I say all the three great muftis of the world who declared jihad, the war of Afghanistan, the US, Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, all together, and many countries. Of course, the Afghans were fighting the war of defense, war of independence. But when it was fought, everybody, the mistake committed by US and all other partners of the Western countries and Muslim countries together was everybody left Afghanistan. And those people were left, nothing to do. They were neither engineers, nor doctors, no infrastructure, no money, no jobs, nothing. Finally, what were they supposed to become? Finally, they were just supposed to become terrorists. They took up arms and started fighting in Kashmir. When those border was blocked for them, then they started fighting in Pakistan. They became sectarian terrorists. And when sectarian terrorism was little bit curtailed, then they started fighting in those particular areas where up till today the war of terror is going on. So we have seen the results of not attending them, providing them social things. And so this is the way given by Quran and the Sunnah of Holy Prophet. What was your first answer?
About the UN Charter, Geneva Convention.
Yes. I would say whatever UN Charter has given on the subject of war and peacemaking, and Geneva Convention, whatever it has been given on the US on the peacemaking, even the Security Council resolution, when they were passed in 1990, then 1992, in case of Kosovo, when there was permission was given for collective interference against the abuse of human rights. All these developments up till today on the subject of war and peacemaking, to me, as a humble student of Islam and classical sciences and Islamic law, they are absolutely in consonance with Quranic teachings and Islamic teachings. I don't find any conflict in UN Charter and Geneva Convention. I won't say like this that they have derived this from Quran and Sunnah. No, this would be not fair to say. But this is a development of collective conscience of humanity, collective conscience of the countries. They keep on, whole world was in the state of war. There were centuries. Not only Muslim world, the Christian world was also. But the issues were resolved through wars. This was the common international practice. Even the pagan society up till the medieval period, the issues, the conflicts were resolved through wars and fights. But the time realized before the First World War, at the First World War and the League of Nations, that a time has come that we should try to resolve the disputes through peacemaking efforts and through dialogue and through communication. And United Nations finally came into existence. So this is a collective development of communities. But this is a chance that whatever is the result of collective development of communities is the same what was injunction given, what was educated and what was constructed, what was instructed and what was revealed by Quran and Holy Prophet 1400 years before. There is no conflict between the two.